The temperature outside has dropped to 19 degrees, snow is falling sideways past the windows, and somewhere a few miles down a gravel road that most GPS apps cannot even find, there is a cabin where none of that matters at all. Wood is already crackling in the hearth. The light inside is doing something that no light bulb has ever quite managed to replicate. And in the next few minutes I'm going to walk you through every single corner of this place, the design choices, the small details, the things that make a space feel less like a building and more like a hug. If you have ever wanted to feel warm just by watching a video, this is the one. Stick around because the fireplace alone is worth the trip. Quick ask before we go inside. Before we step through that front door, if cozy spaces like this one genuinely make your day better, do me a favor and hit the like button. It actually helps more people stumble onto this video and find a little bit of calm in their scroll. Subscribe if you want more tours like this one. And drop a comment telling me what your dream cabin would look like. I read every single one. Okay, let us go inside. The approach through the trees. You do not arrive at a place like this the way you arrive at most homes. There is no driveway in the conventional sense, just a winding dirt path through dense stands of pine and birch, the kind of approach that slowly strips away whatever noise was rattling around in your head on the drive out here. The trees get thicker, the light gets dimmer and more filtered, and then suddenly there it is, a low timber structure tucked into a small clearing, smoke curling gently from a stone chimney, windows glowing amber against the blue dusk. This particular cabin sits on roughly 2 acres of forested land, built using a timber frame construction method that has barely changed in its fundamentals for centuries, even though the materials and insulation behind the scenes are thoroughly modern in 2026. The exterior logs are a mix of cedar and pine, chosen specifically because cedar naturally resists rot and insects without heavy chemical treatment, while pine offers that warm honey color that deepens beautifully with age. Standing outside for just a moment before going in, you notice something most modern homes have lost entirely: the building does not compete with the forest around it. It looks like it grew there. Stepping through the front door. The door itself is solid reclaimed oak, heavy enough that you feel its weight the moment you push it open, with a simple wrought iron handle that has gone slightly dark with age and use. And then the door swings open, and the temperature shift hits you immediately, not just in degrees but in atmosphere. The first thing that grabs your attention is the smell. Wood smoke, obviously, but underneath it's something subtler, the faint resin scent of pine walls that have absorbed decades of fires, plus a hint of beeswax from the furniture polish used on the wooden surfaces. The second thing you notice is the light. Even though it is nearly dark outside, the interior feels golden rather than gloomy, a combination of warm-toned LED bulbs that mimic the 2700 Kelvin glow of old incandescent filament bulbs, strategically placed table lamps rather than one harsh overhead fixture, and of course the fireplace itself, which we are absolutely getting to in a moment. The living room and that fireplace. This is the heart of the cabin, both literally and emotionally, and it is genuinely hard to overstate how much one well-built fireplace can define an entire space. The fireplace here is built from local fieldstone, hand-stacked rather than cut into uniform blocks, which means every single stone has its own shape, its own shadow, its own little story written in mineral deposits and weathering. The hearth extends out about 18 inches into the room, wide enough for stacking firewood within easy reach and just deep enough that you could sit right on the edge of it on a particularly cold night. A fire is going right now, not roaring, just a steady, comfortable burn, mostly seasoned birch with a few logs of oak mixed in for longer burn time. You can hear it more than see it from across the room, that gentle, irregular crackle that white noise apps spend millions of dollars trying and failing to recreate convincingly. Above the mantel, which is a single thick slab of reclaimed barn beam, sits exactly the kind of decor you would hope for: a few black and white framed photographs of the surrounding forest, an old brass compass, and a single antler resting horizontally, nothing overdone, nothing staged within an inch of its life. The seating around the fireplace is intentionally mismatched in the best possible way. A deep, oversized leather armchair that has clearly been sat in thousands of times, its surface cracked and softened with use rather than damaged. A linen sectional sofa in a warm oatmeal tone, piled with at least 6 throw pillows in varying textures, chunky knit, soft velvet, a couple in plaid wool that almost feels like a cliché until you actually touch one and understand why the cliché exists in the first place. Wool and Sherpa throw blankets are draped over every available armrest, not for decoration but because someone in this cabin clearly uses every single one of them on a regular basis. The kitchen that feels like a secret. Walk a little further in, and the kitchen unfolds almost unexpectedly, tucked just off the main living area but distinct enough to feel like its own little world. The cabinetry is all open shelving rather than closed cupboards, a deliberate choice that lets stacks of mismatched ceramic mugs, cast iron skillets and glass jars filled with dried herbs and grains become part of the visual texture of the room rather than something hidden away. The countertops are a thick slab of butcher block, the kind that has darkened slightly in the center from years of cutting and prepping, with small char marks near the stove where a hot pan occasionally landed without a trivet underneath it, evidence of a kitchen that gets genuinely used rather than just photographed. A cast iron wood stove sits in the corner, doing double duty as both a cooking surface and a secondary heat source, something that has quietly made a comeback in off-grid and cabin design through 2025 and into 2026 as more people look for redundant, non-electric ways to cook and heat their homes during power outages or simply by preference. A small farmhouse sink sits beneath a window that looks directly out onto the tree line, meaning whoever is washing dishes gets an unobstructed view of the forest doing whatever it happens to be doing that day, snow falling, deer wandering past, or just the slow sway of branches in the wind. There is something genuinely meditative about a window placed exactly there. The reading nook nobody expects. Tucked into a corner near a tall window is the kind of detail that turns a nice cabin into an unforgettable one. A built-in window seat, cushioned in a deep forest green fabric, with a small stack of well-worn paperback books beside it, the spines cracked and soft from repeated reading. A single sheepskin throw is draped over one end, and a small brass reading lamp with an adjustable arm sits mounted on the wall beside it, angled perfectly for evening reading without needing to turn on any other light in the room. This is the kind of space that does not show up in real estate listings or get mentioned in architectural reviews, but it is often the place people actually fall in love with a home. It does not need to be large or dramatic. It just needs to feel like it was built specifically for the act of sitting still for an hour with a book and a cup of something warm. The bedroom loft. A narrow wooden staircase, more like a ladder with proper steps, leads up to a sleeping loft tucked beneath the exposed timber beams of the roofline. The ceiling here slopes dramatically on both sides, which sounds like it should feel cramped, but instead creates a kind of cocoon effect, the angled wood paneling overhead making the whole space feel intentionally protective rather than restrictive. The bed itself is dressed in layers, a buffalo check flannel duvet cover over what is almost certainly a down comforter, plus a knitted throw folded at the foot of the bed for good measure. A small round window at the gable end frames a perfect, almost too perfect view of treetops and sky, the kind of window placement that feels deliberate rather than accidental, because it is. Designers working in small cabin spaces in 2026 have increasingly prioritized these single, carefully placed windows over larger picture windows in sleeping areas specifically because they preserve a sense of intimacy and shelter while still connecting occupants to the landscape outside. A small wood stove vent pipe runs up through one corner of the loft, meaning heat from the fireplace below genuinely rises and warms this space too, an old but still remarkably effective passive heating strategy that modern insulated cabins are leaning back into rather than relying purely on electric heating throughout. The bathroom that surprises everyone. Most people expect a rustic cabin bathroom to feel like an afterthought, but this one quietly defies that assumption. A deep, freestanding cast iron soaking tub sits beneath another well-placed window, positioned so that someone bathing can watch snow fall or stars emerge depending on the hour. The tub is fed by a tankless propane water heater, a detail that matters more than it sounds, because off-grid and remote cabins in 2026 increasingly rely on these compact, efficient units rather than bulky traditional tanks, providing genuinely hot water on demand without needing constant electricity or a massive storage tank taking up space. The vanity is a repurposed antique dresser, its drawers slightly mismatched in tone from decades of use before someone decided it deserved a second life holding towels and toiletries instead of clothes. Exposed copper plumbing pipes run along one wall, left intentionally visible rather than hidden behind drywall, the warm reddish tone of the copper actually complementing the wood tones throughout the rest of the cabin rather than feeling out of place. The small details that tie everything together. Walking back through the cabin one more time before we head outside, it becomes clear that very little here happened by accident. The lighting temperature throughout the home stays consistently warm, nothing colder than about 2700 Kelvin anywhere, which matters more than most people realize because cooler, bluer light genuinely changes how relaxed or alert a space makes you feel. Textiles repeat in tone without being identical: woolen, linen, sheepskin, leather, all sitting comfortably in the same warm palette of browns, creams and deep forest greens. Firewood is stored both inside in a simple woven basket beside the hearth, and outside under a covered lean-to, a small detail that keeps the interior tidy while still providing instant access to fuel during the worst weather. Candles and amber glass holders sit on nearly every flat surface, not lit constantly but present and ready, adding to that sense that warmth and light are simply built into the rhythm of life here rather than something switched on only when guests arrive. Why spaces like this are having a moment in 2026? There is a reason cabin interiors like this one have exploded across social media and search trends through 2025 and into 2026. After years of minimalist, all-white, almost clinical interior design trends dominating the conversation, there has been a clear and measurable shift toward what designers are calling maximalist coziness, or more informally hygge-adjacent design, spaces that prioritize warmth, texture and emotional comfort over stark visual minimalism. Search interest in terms like cozy cabin aesthetic and forest cabin interior has climbed steadily according to multiple design trend reports published in late 2025, and it tracks closely with broader cultural fatigue around screens, hustle culture and constant connectivity. People are not just decorating their homes to look good in photographs anymore. They are decorating them to feel like a genuine retreat from everything else demanding their attention. And a crackling fireplace surrounded by soft textures and warm light does something for the nervous system that no amount of clever app design ever will. The fire before we go. Before we leave, let us just sit with this fireplace for a few more seconds, because honestly, that is the whole point of a room like this. The flames have settled into that late evening rhythm, slower, deeper orange, occasionally popping where a knot in the wood finally gives way to heat. Outside, the snow is probably still falling. In here, none of that matters because this room was built, board by board and stone by stone, specifically to make sure it would not. That is the full tour, from the winding forest approach to that fieldstone fireplace that honestly deserves its own dedicated video, through the kitchen, the reading nook, the loft, and that quietly surprising bathroom. Spaces like this remind us that comfort does not require excess. It just requires intention, the right materials, the right light, and a fire that is actually allowed to be the centerpiece of the room instead of an afterthought. If this tour gave you even 5 minutes of calm, that was genuinely the goal. Subscribe for more cozy interior tours just like this one. Let me know in the comments which room you would move into first, and I will see you in the next video.